In this video, I'm going to talk about two simple trading indicators every cryptocurrency investor should know. Now, why is it important to have simple indicators that you can rely on? It's important because it helps us to identify long-term trends and helps us to have clarity when investing in cryptocurrencies. So you can see on the screen right here, the cryptocurrency space is filled with all this, right? Like you see here this thumbnail, Bitcoin prediction at $2 million. And this next thumbnail, negative $10,000 crash for Bitcoin, watch out. And on the right-hand side right here is a list of indicators and strategies available in TradingView, which is a charting platform I use. And you can see here, there's a number of them. You can see Super Trend Ladder, ATR, Red X, Auto Stepping Ladder Trader, and what the heck, Bagorum Key Levels, you know? And there's all these trading and strategies out there where people, you know, say like, oh, this is the best strategy that you can use, right? But it's important to understand and have some simple key things that you can rely on to identify the overall trend of the cryptocurrency market, so that it helps you avoid all this clutter out there, right? Like, who knows if this is really true? And I'm not saying Bitcoin can't go to $2 million. And I'm not saying that Bitcoin can't crash to negative $10,000. All I'm saying is that it's important to have indicators to help you navigate the cryptocurrency space. And there's a saying out there, when your butt is full up to alligators, it's hard to remember that you went there to go drain the swamp, right? So that's why it's important to have these indicators to help us remember what the overall picture is. So the first indicator I want to talk about is the relative strength index. And the relative strength index is a momentum indicator that measures the magnitude of price changes to identify overbought or oversold conditions. And the most important thing about this, about the RSI, is that it helps us identify overbought or oversold conditions, right? And this is important, of course, obviously, right? Because if the price is going up and it's really high, we want to figure out if the price can continue to go upwards, right? And the RSI helps us to identify those times. So I'm going to show you the RSI formula. And what's important about this RSI formula is right here, is that this formula involves taking the average gain and dividing it by the average loss. So this is important because this helps us to understand the limitations of the RSI indicator. So because this takes the average of the previous periods, it's a lagging indicator. So it's hard to identify true short-term reversal signals because it takes into account of the average of the previous period. And that period can range depending on what you want to use, right? You can use months, or you can use weeks, you can use days, etc. So that's why you have to understand the formula so you understand the limitation of this. Another thing you need to know about this indicator is that it's a momentum indicator. So that means it's most reliable to identify trends when they're going upwards or when they're going downwards, but not so great when things are flat and nothing's going on. So we're going to take a look at the charts to see how we can use RSI to identify the overall trend. So on the screen right here, I have the price action of Bitcoin. And you can see here, Bitcoin is trading at $50,000. And the overall trend is upwards, right? And this is great. But how can you use RSI to identify where we might be possibly overbought and where the market could possibly reverse? So for example, back in the summer of 2021, you see here, Bitcoin hit its previous all-time high, which is around $64,000 to $65,000, right? And then we had a correction in which we dropped by about 43%, about 43 to about 50% right here, right? And so how can you use RSI to help us identify regions of where it's overbought, where the market can actually reverse on us? Because when we see the price action, we just see the price go up, kind of go sideways, and it goes down from there, right? So if I pull up RSI, you can see here on this bottom right here, in this corner right here, I know it's really small, it says RSI, it says 14. And now that 14, that is the average period. So if we go back to our formula, right, this is average right here, 14. So on this chart right here, I have weeks right here. So I'm using the previous 14 weeks to calculate this RSI line right here. Now you could change weeks to days or to months. Like you could do days right here, and if you go back here, this is months right here. But I'm going to use weeks because this is a nice balance between going the details and looking at the bigger picture, and is right in between compared to months. So if we go back here, right, this RSI right here is around 50 right here. And you can see the scale right here goes from 0 to 100. And you can see these bands right here, it goes from, you can see this region right here from 20 to 80. And this upper region right here, this shows us when things are overbought. And this lower part of the region here, this shows when something is oversold. So you can see back here, back in the summer of 2021, you can see here, right, we were going upwards, right? And you can see here the RSI is trending upwards with the price of Bitcoin. And we had a bit of dip, and then we had another upwards trend up here. But the problem is that we're making higher lows. So you can see here, the trend is going downwards, right? You have this peak right here, this peak right here, this peak right here, but the price is going upwards. So why is that, right? And this is just showing that there's just not enough buyers, and the price action is getting exhausted, right? There's not enough buyers to keep pushing the price upwards. And the RSI is showing that because the RSI is trending downwards like that, but yet the price is going upwards. So this helps us identify like, the price reached a high of around 64 right here in April 2021, even though the RSI is going downwards. And it helps us identify these overbought conditions. And going back to when Bitcoin had its run, you can see that the trend matched. You can see that RSI is going up with the price of Bitcoin along with this. So we have these two confirmations that go along with each other. And this is confirming that the trend is real right here. And I know a lot of people are concerned about this recent pullback in the market. And if you take a look at the market cycle bottom since 2019, you can see here the overall trend is upwards. Just take this arrow, right? Draw through it, simple. And you can see the overall trend is up. And while this pullback is nothing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, back in March, right? We had this huge pullback. Back in summer, we had this huge pullback of 50%. And if we look at the RSI, we can see the RSI is trending upwards. But there's up and downs, of course. And that's why you have to understand the formula, right? We're taking the average of the previous period. So if we have a downward kind of flat period, it kind of skews the RSI trends and lines. But you can see overall the RSI is going upwards. Now the next simple indicator that we can use to identify overbought and oversold indicators is volume. So I'm gonna pull this up, and here we have these green and red bars right here. And we can use this to help identify and confirm different trends that we have. So what is volume? Volume is a measure of how much a given asset has traded in a given period of time. And it's a very simple indicator, and you can see how much activity is happening, how much people are buying and selling cryptocurrency. So if we go back to the summer of 2021, you can see here that this upwards trend, right? We could definitely see that the volume is increasing with this trend. So this makes a lot of sense, right? People are buying Bitcoin more and more, and it's showing in volume right here. And this is what we can use that, hey, we have three things that we're confirming this upward trend. So this trend is for reals. If we take a look volume at the short term, see this upward trend right here. Now, since Bitcoin plateaued right here, so what is this trend? Now we're kind of going flat. And if we look at volume, the volume is decreasing overall. And RSI is going downwards. However, we actually hit our previous all-time high back in April, right? We hit the all-time high right here. So wouldn't you be thinking like, oh my God, the price is hitting all-time high. Could it go higher? Well, I mean, that's a lot to ask, because if you look at volume, less people are buying. And if you look at RSI, the trend is going downwards. If we take a look at the current market right now, we can see here, if we take a look at the overall trend for price is going upwards, even with this recent pullback right here. And if we take a look at volume, volume is going relatively sideways. And if you take a look at RSI, RSI is having lower highs. And so that means we're trending upwards with that. So even with this recent pullback, even where everyone's worried and kind of freaking out and saying, "Oh my God, what's going on with the cryptocurrency market?" I mean, we only went down by 26%, and that's nothing for cryptocurrencies. And if we look at the overall trend, right, this trend is upwards, even though volume is kind of low, but still a slight uptrend. And if we take a step back and take a look at the overall market, the trends are going up. So if we take a look at price, right, just draw a line, price right here, see volume, right? Volume going up and down, but it depends, right? This volume only helps us relatively short term to identify when trends are going upwards right here. And you can see at RSI, you can also see we have a slight uptrend right here. But of course, if Bitcoin crashes, then RSI is going to go downwards. But the overall trend is upwards. So this is why it's good to have these simple indicators to understand where we're at in the cryptocurrency market, and helps us to avoid clickbait titles and FUD in the market. I'll put a link to a playlist where I have different price targets for different cryptocurrencies that I invest in to help give you a guideline to see where cryptocurrency could possibly go. And I hope you all have a great day. Take care.